test out the remote.
Okay, so this one goes forward, this one goes backwards. You guys got that?
Okay.
Okay.
This one is what?
This one here. I think we're ready.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daniel. I'm here with Luca, Connor, and Matt today, and we together are FGG, for the greater good. We're here to talk to you today about Maxia.net, who is a global brand management and consumer goods distribution company, and they're looking to bring the diaper industry to Venezuela. Now, Venezuela has been a very confusing market recently. For years and years, they have relied on their oil exports to funnel their economic growth. However, recently when oil prices tanked, so did their economic performance. And poor government leadership has led to a decrease in economic performance and a multitude of humanitarian issues arising. So, 2,700. That is the number on average that is recommended for an infant to use in their first year. I think of it point there. Point, sorry. Okay, 126, not 12, is the number that that is used in Venezuela and in the Venezuelan market. That number is drastically below what should be there, and we're looking to change that with our presentation. So, Luca, take us away.
Thank you. So what we saw here in Venezuela was that the problem there is divided into two different aspects. The first one is the supply. We have a problem with supply and a problem with demand. So we're starting with our demand. We see that the poor hygiene and the lack of medicines show that the increase of the infant mortality rate, and therefore those being not the babies, the mothers being our main consumers, we see that we first see a shrink in market size. Looking into our supply, the set prices from the government, set prices on products from the government, show us a lack of profitability, which leads into some companies like Huggies leaving the market recently. Therefore, with a decrease of supply, black markets arise. Those black markets bring an increase in high prices on diapers. So Dan is going to talk a little bit more about our solution overview.
So our solution is, of course, to export a biodegradable, disposable diaper to the Venezuelan market, using our very own developed the Give to Get model that we'll get into later, and then we are going to partner with charities and governments and to make a sustainable funding plan, and then promote also Venezuelan composting using our biodegradable diapers to eventually strengthen the Venezuelan economy and improve the situation there. So Luca, talk to us about the market.
Perfect. So the first step was to figure out which suppliers we're going to use. So we look into the entire world and to define what kind of suppliers would be the best ones or the fittest one for a company. And based on price, location, and the type of product, and of course the social responsibility of those companies, we come up with those 7 ones. Now, in order to narrow down that to our best company, we looked into the country they are present in and the price of their diapers. Now, BioBaby was a company that we thought was going to be the best one for us, and therefore we're going to talk about a little bit more of how the process works. So BioBaby is in 7 different countries in the world, and if you look there of Mexico, Costa Rica, and Chile, they are present in Latin America, therefore making the transition into Venezuela a little bit better. They're also, although they provide wipes, baby wipes, and those training pants for the babies, they also provide diapers, being those are their main products. Those diapers are made of organic products, and also they have this biodegradable part of them that they decompose in less than 1 year, being very good to the trash problem in Venezuela we're going to address later. Also, their social responsibility, they are partnered with 3 different companies being focused on reforestation and also stem cells to provide a greater good for their communities. So I'm going to talk a little bit more later about those companies and the social responsibility.
Thank you so much, Luca. So why is it important that Maxia.net creates or partners with a socially responsible company? It's because we want to propose that they create their own nonprofit. Why would we do this? Because the case was asking us what kind of business entity would be able to get the funding it needs to subsidize the costs. So we proposed a 501c3 in order to get funds from charities and other corporate partnerships to subsidize the pricing. And then with that, we'll be able to purchase the goods through Maxia.net at a break-even cost in order to penetrate the market and get our brand out there. Once we do that, we'll be able to sell the goods back to Venezuela, where the government will be able to receive tax dollars from that. And then after that, we will be able to reinvest in the brand itself and work on different initiatives like our composting that we'll get into later. And eventually, as soon as the market allows for better profitability for a for-profit, we'll be able to let MaxiNet come in while the nonprofit starts working in a new developing market. So how does this all work out? So just to give a brief overview, the nonprofit is going to be collecting funds from the charities and other corporate partnerships, which will then allow the companies to get tax breaks as an incentive to give us funding. And then after that, we'll be able to penetrate the market and accomplish the mission of getting the diapers to Venezuela, in which point the tax dollars will be going to Venezuela to help them. And then as soon as the market allows for better profitability for the for-profit, MaxiNet will be able to swoop in while the nonprofit goes into a new developing market, which has different problems that will be able to become a stepping stone for MaxiNet to expand later on. So when it comes to funding, we want to align with charities that have a similar values as we do. So we looked at the Save the Children and the Global Giving Foundations. In addition to that, we want to utilize our corporate partnerships in order to use their resources to further subsidize our costs when we're shipping out the products over there. And in addition to that, we want to work with governments to receive grants and further solve the problems in Venezuela. Perfect. So,
Thanks, Connor. Appreciate it. So now we're going to be looking at Venezuelan market stats. Our first stat on the board is 36%. 36% is the amount of promotions that is the influential factor in the Venezuelan market for switching brand loyalty. That is a big percentage. And so we position that around our own positioning statement to help create loyalty in the minds and hearts of Venezuelans. Next is number 10. Venezuela is known as the number 10 most biodiverse country in the world. With that stat, we'll be able to take advantage of their agricultural resources and use that as an advantage in their market. Next is the growth in diaper market in 2014 in Latin America alone. There's been a 16% growth in 2014, meaning that there is a higher percentage of people going and getting diapers for their children. Lastly, the cost of the diaper for the Venezuelan people is about 120% of their daily income. The price is immense. We need to find a way to go around this so that they can have what they need in order to thrive, especially their babies. Now we're going to shift to the value-based consumer. We're going to basically look at the values within the Venezuelan target market that we have for BioBaby. The first value is familisimo. That is the idea that family is a cornerstone. It is what connects the people of Venezuela and helps to contribute to family ties and stronger promotions with companies to the family. The next is hierarquísimo. And that's the idea that they have a respect for hierarchy. That means that whether it's in corporate settings or it's in familial settings, there is a respect for those that are in positions above them. Next is national pride. The Venezuelans have great pride within their country, as well as great pride for expressing that. And lastly, eco-friendly. With the new low-cost idea of the biodegradable diaper, we will help with providing the eco-friendliness and take advantage of the agricultural environment of Venezuela. So with these statements and these values and these statistics, we compiled a positioning statement for the BioBaby company going forward into the market. So with that is, we nurture your baby with the help of technology and nature to create a more wholesome world. In other words, for the Spanish market, cuidamos tu bebé con la ayuda de la tecnología y la naturaleza para crear un mundo más saludable. With this positioning statement, we will help solidify our position within the hearts and minds of the Venezuelan consumer. And going forward with our composting strategy, why we chose the composting and the biodegradability is the idea that we don't want to contribute to the waste problem that is currently being held in Venezuela because of the hyperinflation and the economic turmoil. So how are we going to do this? We're going to partner with local municipalities. And by doing that, we get access to their waste management dumps so that we can form our own composting facility within different cities like Caracas, Guayana, and Guaraca. Next is community support. We will help foster community support and community involvement within this composting to help educate the consumer about the awareness of sustainability and self-sustainability. Next, we'll be generating more income internally through the excess funds we'll be using by the recycling of the fertilizer. And thank you.
Thank you so much, Matt. So one of the big problems is creating a price strategy. So what we thought of is, well, at first we looked at the consumer, and these people are just trying to get by. So one of the things that we can do is to ensure that we keep not decreasing our revenue is using the receptive marketing tactics that were in the case, like getting these products into the hands of families in order to spread awareness. Another thing is that we need to be agile in the amount of products in each package. People might not have the money to afford larger quantities or fewer quantities. And as a way to fight the inflation problem, we thought of selling our product as a percentage of profit from the importers. And another really viable tactic that we think would be effective is using short-term, high-volume contracts in order to create a surplus, because it's forecasted that 68% of the retail market is going to be run by the black markets. So if we get a surplus of product in there, that'll deter black markets away from having that crazy market share.
Connor, that sounds great, but actually, how are we going to actually make our money? How are we going to get the profits made in Venezuela back to the U.S.? So in order to do that, we can't just directly convert the Venezuelan currency to the U.S. currency. We came up with a little creative solution. We all know that Venezuela has a top commodity, petroleum. Petroleum is valued all over the world at certain rates, so we thought we would take the money made in Venezuela, use that money to purchase petroleum from the government, and then export that to different locations, and then we could make our U.S. dollars that way. Unfortunately, we cannot do that in the United States currently because of trade sanctions that has to deal with the current political situation going on in Venezuela. However, there are still top exporters such as China and India that are willing to get involved in that market, and we could easily sell to them and transport to them too. So Connor, what's the timeline looking like?
So we plan on implementing this in 2020. And after implementing this, we are going to be measuring it, refining it to the point where our nonprofit can exit the market as soon as it becomes profitable for Maxi and Net to come in. And at that point, the nonprofit will be entering a new market, solving a different problem, and furthermore becoming a stepping stone for Maxi and Net to expand their brand.
Easy. So some of the financials, what we're looking at is customers served are slowly going to increase over the next 15 years. As our market share grows, as customers transition back from using those reusable diapers to using our disposable diapers, our market share is going to grow. Also, while the nonprofit is running the business, their income is going to grow very steadily over the first 8 years of operation. As the value of each consumer grows, as they start to use more and more of our products, and as we can actually penetrate the market with more of our supplies and have supply that demand more rigorously. Now at year 8, so Maxi and Net, our for-profit entity of this, it's going to be breaking even for the first 8 years as the nonprofit's going to be running the show and reinvesting all of our funds. But as at year 8, when our for-profit takes over again, they're going to have an immediate income which will increase through the remainder of the 15 years as we reach our sales percentage. So, Luca, what are some of our risks?
Thank you very much, Dan. So it would be very naive of us to think there's not going to be risk entering the Venezuelan market. So looking into the case and into what we saw about Venezuela, we saw that the 3 main problems that Maxi and Net might find. First one is the government. So we think that government might not be very receptive to what we're showing them. Therefore, what our conversation with them needs to be is the amount of income, the amount of taxes they're going to receive, as well as the increase of demand of oil for them. The second one would be competition. There you go. Second one would be competition. So we think the competition, as we see what we're doing there in the country, they're going to come to Venezuela and take part of the market share. We're looking to fight that through our brand loyalty with our social responsible campaigns, as well as donations. For us, donations at first is going to be very crucial for our business model. Therefore, we need to make sure that donations are not being short on their end. So in order to fight the low inflow of donations, we're looking to create our donation fund so that those donations, surpluses of donations in certain years can complete the donations, the deficit from previous years.
Thank you so much, Luca. Just to summarize all of our information we gave you really quick, we're going to be using our give to get model to not only come in and make profit in a new market, but also support humanitarian and sustainable issues. We're going to promote eco-friendly lifestyles and eliminate waste with our composting, improve hygiene, health, and sanitation just by providing the diapers in the industry, and it will partner with our charities and strengthen the economy in the future. Thank you guys very much for listening. We're at FGG. We'd love to take any questions you have right now.
So, just to summarize then, you're recommending for the first 8 years, don't make a profit and basically create a 501(c) and take donations from other charities and use that money to buy the product and sell it into Venezuela, right?
Yes.
And you guys are recommending this one company, the BioBaby, that exists, and they're already doing business in Latin America.
Yeah.
Did you, in your price analysis, did you focus on the local pricing, how you're going to be able to make it accessible to the consumers?
Yes, so the pricing that we saw there, and that's why we put it in the slide, if you can go back to the slide after. It's roughly 9 cents of a dollar per diaper in Venezuela, and that's using not the official exchange rate, but the exchange rate that we see there in the market right now. So therefore, when we saw the BioBaby having the lowest price outside, we also saw that this price would be too high for the Venezuelans to buy, and that's why we decided to come up with this strategy of using donations to increase the market. So we're not only selling the diapers, we are developing a whole market in Venezuela to make sure that we don't lose market shares to the black market, and to make sure that Venezuelans have access to the diapers. If this explains.
Maybe I'll jump in. Summarize what you're thinking is about the target customer segments you're gonna go after, and then how you're gonna position the brand. I guess it's the BioBaby brand in the short term, and then after the 8-year period.
So in the short term, we're definitely going to be targeting through our low cost. The cost is going to be the majority of it, but we want to keep our brand image the same consistently through. So with the low cost, the perception of it being low cost and sustainable, that would be able to carry us through the long term, because what the values within the Venezuelan people contributes to the idea of them having this nurturing brand that's caring for their people and also caring for their environment. So it's this whole idea of just caring for the people in general during this tough time, and it's going to mean that in the long term too, they're going to carry them through whatever else they need to go through. So their babies are always going to be cared for with this brand, because it's biodegradable, it can decompose, and then we can end up using that as soil for agricultural means to help power the agricultural sector within the country itself. So essentially, the short term will be more low-cost promotional aspects, but the long term is essentially creating that brand image around the low cost, and for having it separated even when other competitors come into the market. So they already know where we stand in the low cost and caring for their child in that sense.
And I was just going to say, just to add on to that, I think one of the biggest things about this business model is just entering in a market that isn't allowing other people to get in there. So you're getting these diapers at a subsidized cost that no other for-profit's going to be able to get at, in order to just spread that awareness and have people that weren't able to have these diapers before have them, and they know that we're there for them. And that's going to spread from not just Venezuela, but to the other developing markets. So I think it's just entering and having that first mover advantage. That's going to be a really big pivotal move for the company.
You guys got the pricing. I mean, BioBaby, are they cheaper than a P&G or a Kimberly-Clark?
Yeah.
They are?
They are.
How much cheaper?
They are
10,
roughly,
20, 30?
yeah, so they are roughly 2 cents cheaper than P.
Per diaper.
Yeah, per diaper.
Did you calculate the total amount of money donations that's going to be necessary in order to subsidize the product in Venezuela? You didn't do any volume assumptions or anything, did you?
Specifically with donations, all we could do was, guess or estimate what the effect of our outreach, what the effect of our marketing would be. We estimated volume of sales though, and the other problem was there's a fair amount of price control fluctuation, especially with the government aspect, with the government setting different prices, and then that inflation rates changing every day. So to answer your question, it was rough to estimate that, but we did factor it into consideration while looking at this.
Yeah, because it's a pretty simple calculation. If you can sell, 1 million diapers,
Yeah.
and they're going to cost you, I don't know, 10 cents
Oh.
each or 20 cents each, and you're going to need to subsidize them. You said you were going to sell them at 9 cents. You're going to have to subsidize them 10 cents each. That's $100,000 right there. So, the more you sell, the more you need to go out to the charities and to the NGOs and get money.
Yes.
Our financial is like a financial predictions
Yes.
were based on what we think are going to be the value of the customer, the lifetime value of the customer, that times the amount of what was it? Sorry, I'm jumping in on the.
So when we calculated our financials, we estimated a value of each consumer, and then we multiplied that by the consumer base, and we estimated the value of the consumer based off how much we would be selling the diapers for, based off about how many they would be using in the course of their lifetime, and then we averaged that out per year, and then we multiplied that by the consumer base, and then we adjusted that every year based on what we saw population changes were going to be, what we saw, the value, we saw the customer value of increase over the span of the first 15 years as we could introduce more and more diapers in the market, and as they could buy more and more back. We did do a cost calculation about what our purchasing costs from the suppliers are going to be, and then we factored in transportation costs, and so we did factor in costs into some of our calculations. Yes, but
reaching even the price of how we're going to fit all the price, all the diapers inside of a container.
Money do you need to go get in donations in order to run the business?
That part we didn't calculate.
Because
We can
basically, if you're going to subsidize it, you're going to have to get the money
yes, certainly.
from
And
someplace.
we can look back at our research, and we'd be happy to get back to you and later today.
That's a hard number.
Yes.
That's a hard number.
Yes.
Because there are hard costs. There are costs for transportation, logistics, local distributor,
Of course.
distribution costs and things like that,
Mhm.
retail margins.
Yes.
Mhm.
We've got about 30 seconds if you have one last question.
Yep. If you think about the partnership between MaxiNet and BioBaby, what do you think are the key roles that MaxiNet would play? What value do they have?
Well, MaxiNet has this crazy distribution network, and I think that's one of the things where
Crazy good, crazy bad.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
Phenomenal.
they have a phenomenal distribution network. And I think that's one of the things that is going to be able to help BioBaby expand into other markets. That way they'll be able to create more revenue and get their brand out there a lot more. That's one of the big things. And in addition to that, just their overall market analysis and being able to share that knowledge with BioBaby to make their brand better.
Yeah, managing the brand.
Thanks very much, you guys.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
We appreciate your
Closest
time.
part of the presentation.
Nice going, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, David.
Thank you very much.
Good job.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. Have a great day. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Good job.
Thank you.
Good job. Yep.
Right.